Hey, come here. I got a secret for you. What if I told you that home prices in Toronto were increasing right now? That can't be possible. The entire Canadian real estate market is crashing. Hey there, welcome back to another monthly Canadian real estate market update here on Bald Prairie Real Estate. My name is Matthew. That's my trusted assistant, Matilda. And I'm going to get to what's going on in the Toronto real estate market when I get to their segment later on in this video. But looking at the numbers, the Canadian real estate market is a little bit all over the place right now. We've got some markets, like Toronto has been in the past, seeing some fairly significant declines, whereas others are a little bit more typical for this time of year. It's pretty obvious now that what affects one part of the country may or may not affect another part of the country. So you can't make a blanket statement about, well, this is going on across the country, because the numbers show exactly that. Let's get you into another terrible joke though and get into the numbers. So how do you make the number one disappear? She already doesn't like this joke. She's leaving. Well, you add a G onto it and now it's gone. If you have a terrible joke that I can use in a future episode of Bald Prairie Real Estate, put it in the comments below. And remember, only the cool kids like, subscribe, and comment on these videos. And you want to be one of the cool kids, right? What's going on in the Victoria real estate market? Well, 410 homes were sold, down 42% from the 5-year average of 708 homes typically sold in the month. There were just shy of 1,200 homes put up for sale last month. That is up about 3% from the 5-year average of a little under 1,150 homes that we put up for sale in the month. An active inventory at 2,300, that is up 6% from the 5-year average of about 2,200. And it means months of inventory is 5.6. That is well into a balanced market, trending towards a buyer's market in Victoria. The benchmark price continues to decline. It's now about $935,000. That is up 15% from last year, but down about 6% from the peak we saw in June. But when I'm talking to real estate agents in Victoria, they did say that properties that are appropriately priced for the current market conditions are still selling well, and we are seeing multiple offers on those properties if they are priced accordingly. But far too many sellers are not pricing their properties accordingly to the current market conditions, and now they're expecting prices from a few months ago. Another little interesting nugget of information I pulled out was that the decline in condo sales was by 60%, whereas the decline in single-family homes was only down 30%. I actually would have expected those numbers to be flipped the other way around, so just kind of interesting thing to keep note of. The market pace in Victoria, well, slower than normal. In Vancouver, they had under 1,700 homes sold in the month. That's down 38% from the 5-year average, where typically about 2,700 homes are sold, and I believe that was like the worst September they've had on record in 20 years. Think about that, how much Vancouver's grown in the last 20 years. With 4,200 homes put up for sale in the month, that is down about 22% from the 5-year average of about 5,100 homes that will be typically put up for sale in the month. And again, that is also a 20-year low for the month. And there are less than 10,000 homes for sale right now in Vancouver. That's down 11% from the 5-year average. Typically, there's about 11,200 homes for sale this time of year. The benchmark price is $1.15 million. That is up 4% from last year, but down 9% from the peak we saw a few months ago, and essentially sets us back to December 2021 prices. With both sales and new listings being at 20-year lows, it's pretty obvious that not only sellers unhappy with the market, but also buyers. Everybody's basically just sitting tight and waiting to see if the market will get better. Buyers, of course, hoping that prices will continue to drop, and sellers hoping that prices will stabilize or increase in the spring. There's definitely a lot of people holding off right now. When I'm talking with agents in Vancouver, they did say though that there's not a ton of panic from sellers. They're saying, okay, if I can get the price I want, I'll sell, and if not, I'm not going to sell. How long that continues, well, we're going to have to wait and see. But right now, not a lot of urgency from sellers to get properties sold, not people having to be forced to sell properties in Vancouver right now. With inventory levels being so low, you wouldn't expect to see these types of price declines that we are. But when you combine a fear in the market sentiment, combined with a fear of what's going on in the general economy, potential for a recession, and of course, significantly higher borrowing costs, that has all contributed to pushing prices down, probably more than the numbers say they should decline. But again, buyers have to realize that there isn't a ton of inventory out there right now to choose from. And again, inside of Vancouver, seeing a far different market than outside of Vancouver, especially in the Fraser Valley. Overall though, market pace is much slower in Vancouver than it typically is this time of year. With 1,900 homes sold last month in Calgary, that's the first month all year they've had less than 2,000 homes sold in a month. It's still up 17% from their 5 average. Typically about 1,600 homes are sold in the month. The approximately 2,600 homes that were put up for sale in the month, that is down 8% from the 5-year average of over 2,800 homes that would usually be put up for sale in the month. And active inventory is below 4,500. That's down 30% from the 5-year average of over 6,300 homes that are usually for sale this time of year, meaning months of inventory in Calgary is at 1.7. That still means it's a seller's market in Calgary, and that benchmark price is $527,000, up 14% from last year, but down a couple of percent from the month before. So prices declining in a seller's market. We'll also talk about that in the local insight section. Calgary continues to buck that national trend of a significantly slower real estate market. In fact, when you look at all the forecasts that come out from economists and banks, etc., while they're projecting significant declines in Toronto, they're actually expecting prices to increase in Calgary, but yet we're seeing a decline right now. That's what happens this time of year in Calgary. It happened last year as well in a really hot real estate market. In the fall and in the winter, typically prices in Calgary slip a little bit. And last month, it was the strength in the condo and townhouse market that offset the declines that we saw in the single family market. And this has been the case for a while now, especially if you break it out by price. The more affordable segments, so under $500,000, that continues to see a lot more strength than the over $500,000 price point in Calgary. So if you're looking sub $500,000, expect that there's probably going to be more competition than the plus $500,000 price range. Market pace in Calgary is still well above normal. The 1,581 homes sold last month in Edmonton, that's basically equal to their 5-year average of 1,574 homes to be sold in a month. But the 3,100 homes put up for sale, well, that is 10% higher than the 5-year average of about 2,800 homes that would usually be put up for sale in the month. As is the 7,700 homes that are currently for sale. That's up 1% from the 5-year average, about 7,600 homes. And months of inventory in Edmonton is 4.9, so basically right in the middle of a balanced market. The composite benchmark price at Edmonton is about $390,000. That's up 5% from last year and down about 2% from what we saw a few months ago. Again, just like Calgary, typically prices soften this time of year in Edmonton, whether it's a hot market or not. After a couple of months in a row of seeing the real estate market in Edmonton kind of heat up a little bit, September we saw things take a step back. I'm wondering if this is, again, a step back, or is this just kind of a blip on the radar and we'll continue to see things heat up in Edmonton. So I'm definitely going to be watching the numbers and talking with agents there to see what they're seeing. With inventory and sales and new listings kind of all being about where they typically are this time of year, that's why I've got the market pace Edmonton as about normal. Just shy of 290 homes were sold last month in Regina. That is up 8% from the 5-year average of about 264. And there were 450 homes put up for sale in the month. That is up 3% from the 5-year average of 437 homes that would typically be put for sale this time of year, leaving us with a little over 1,000 homes on the market right now. That's down 24% from the 5-year average. Typically, there's just shy of 1,400 homes up for sale this time of year. Months of inventory in Regina is 3.6. We've edged up just slightly, but basically right now you're seeing kind of on the slight edge of a balanced market leaning towards sellers. And the benchmark price is $320,000. That's up about 1% from last year and down a couple of percent from what we saw a few months ago. While we saw the September numbers busier than we typically do at this time of year, there's no doubt that we are trending back to that more normal market that we see at this time of year, and definitely trending into more balanced market. We've got listings about where they should be. Inventory is really the only thing that is lower than we typically see this time of year. Of course, that's down quite a bit. And prices sliding a little bit. That happens, very typical this time of year. It happened again last year as well, even in a very hot market. We actually saw prices slip a little bit last year, so don't be surprised by that. That's why I've got the market pace in Regina as normal. The 329 homes sold last month in Saskatoon, that's down 1% from their 5-year average of what? 333 homes sold in the month. And there were under 600 homes that were put up for sale in the month. That is down 17% from the 5-year average of a little over 700 homes put up for sale. And there's a little under 1,200 homes currently for sale in Saskatoon. That's down 28% from the 5-year average. Typically, you have a little over 1,600 homes that would be for sale at this time of year. That means months of inventory just trended back into the balanced territory at 3.6. The benchmark price in Saskatoon, $377,000, is up 6% from last last year, little decline from a few months ago. And for the first time in a couple of years, we've actually saw the number of single family homes available for sale right now in Saskatoon be higher than it was the year before. So if you're looking for single family homes, there's more choice right now than you've had in the last couple of years. In fact, months of inventory is double what it was to start the year. And much like Regina Saskatoon, seeing patterns kind of stabilize to be more normal that we'd expect this time of year, kind of a balanced market. That's why with the Saskatoon market pace at normal. Winnipeg saw 1,200 homes sold last month. That's down 20% from last year. 2,150 homes were put up for sale in the month, up 12% from last year. There's a little under 3,900 homes currently for sale right now. That is up 32% from last year. Months of inventory just trended back into balanced at 3.2 in Winnipeg. The benchmark price is about $341,000. That is up 3% from last year, down about 8% from what they saw a few months ago, earlier in the spring. It is common, again, across the prairies, the prices typically decline, but this is more than the seasonal decline that we usually see this time of year in Winnipeg. I got a little piece of trivia for you from our local real estate agent in Winnipeg. Which one of these real estate markets in Winnipeg is the slowest right now? The attached single family home, the detached single family home, or the apartment townhouse market? I'll give you a second to answer that. The correct answer is the attached single family home segment with a sales to new list ratio below 40%. I actually would have expected that to be the single family detached segment, but it's that attached. Like, so those duplex type things, that's where the slowest market is right now, Winnipeg. Kind of a little bit interesting, and the market pace in Winnipeg is slower than normal. 1 or 2 months does not make a trend, but when we get to 3, we got to start paying attention. We'll get to that in 1 second. 5,000 homes sold last month in Toronto, down 38% from the 5-year average. Usually over 8,000 homes are sold this time of year, and often sales in September increase versus August. That didn't happen. I believe this is one of the worst Septembers they've had in something like 20 years in Toronto. The 11,000 homes put up for sale in the month, well, that is also down 31% from the 5-year average. Typically about 16,000 homes will be put up for sale this time of year. And the trend of new listings coming to the market and being less than it typically is this time of year, well, that has been getting worse for about 4 months in a row now. The 13,500 homes for sale right now in Toronto is down to almost 20% versus the 5-year average of 16,700, meaning proportionally in terms of versus the 5-year average, there is as few homes for sale versus that 5-year average in Toronto right now as there was in the peak of the market at March, where they were down about 20% as well. So very interesting to see how low the total number of homes for sale is in Toronto. Months of inventory is at 2.7, so we're just slightly in a seller's market in Toronto numerically, and this is 2 months in a row that Toronto's been technically in a seller's market. The composite benchmark price is $1.1 million right now in Toronto. That is up 3% from last year, but down about 21% from what we saw in March of this year. But there's some interesting things going on that we talk about in the local insight sections. Let's jump into that right now. When I'm talking with real estate agents in Toronto, they're telling me a different story, and so are the numbers than what's in the headlines right now. Of course, headlines are how bad the market's crashing in Toronto and how bad things are going to get. But let's look at the numbers here. Obviously, we've seen sales and new listings are well below the 5-year average, setting kind of 20 or 30-year lows. It's crazy. Inventory is well below the average as well. Of course, everybody wants to talk about price, and understandably so. Now, we've seen prices in Toronto decline 6 months in a row. But let's look month to month what the change was. From March to April, prices declined 1.6%. From April to May, they declined 4.8%. From May to June, they dropped 6.8%. From June to July, they dropped 4%. July to August, 2.8%. August to September, 1.2%, meaning last month saw the slowest pace of decline we've seen in the last 6 months. And clearly, a couple of months in a row, we've seen that pace slow down. What does that bring for the future? Well, nobody's a crystal ball, especially not me, but it's a trend we got to keep an eye on right now. And then interestingly, the average price month over month has increased 3 months in a row in Toronto. So I said 1 month doesn't make a trend, 2 months doesn't make a trend, 3 months we got to start paying attention. And I've always said as well, average price can be manipulated easily by the makeup of the sales, but it is a data point that we have to keep an eye on to see if something else is going on. The benchmark price is typically a slower indicator, so we'll have to wait a month or two and see if we see any movement in the benchmark price to kind of validate this average price going up or potentially just being skewed by the composition of sales in Toronto. I said about a month back, and I got a lot of hate for it, that we may look back on the summer 2022 as a really good buying opportunity for buyers. We'll have to wait and see. Again, hindsight is always 2020, but it will be interesting to see if that ends up being true or not. And with buyers and sellers both being unhappy with the current market conditions and both kind of sitting on the sidelines, that means the market pace in Toronto is much slower than it normally is this time of year. In Ottawa, they had just under 1,100 homes sold in a month. That's down 37% from the 5-year average of about 1,700 homes that would typically be sold. And the nearly 2,400 homes that were put up for sale in the month, that is up about 2% from the 5-year average of around 2,300 homes that were put up for sale in the month. Active listings is 3,200 right now in Ottawa. That's up 9% from the 5-year average. Finally, we're starting to see more inventory in Ottawa. The 5-year average is 2,600 for this time of year. But months of inventory is only at 3 months right now, meaning as of right now, we're essentially just at the edge of a balanced market. We're not really into a buyer's market just yet in Ottawa numerically. And the composite benchmark price in Ottawa is $637,000. That's up 3% from last year. It is down 10% from earlier this year. And I expect by the time we come back to this next month, all of the price increases we saw through 2022 will be erased and we'll be back to where we were the end of 2021. When I'm talking with real estate agents in Ottawa, they said, finally, we're starting to see more inventory, giving buyers more choice and some stability and sanity in the market, because it's been not just months, but years where Ottawa has been exceptionally low in inventory. Finally, we're starting to see things balance out about a little bit, and this is badly needed. And so the market pace in Ottawa is slower than it normally is this time of year. In Montreal, they had 2,500 homes sold in a month. That's down 32% from the 5-year average of 3,700 homes that would typically sell in September. And with over 6,100 homes put up for sale in the month, that is up 4% from the 5-year average of about 5,100 homes that would typically be put up for sale in the month. The 15,500 homes for sale right now in Montreal, though, that is down 27% from the 5-year average. Typically about 17,500 homes are up for sale right now. With the slow sales, that means months of inventory is 6.1. That puts Montreal right on the edge of a buyer's market. It's been a long time since they've seen that in Montreal. And the benchmark price is about $510,000. That's up 5% from last year, but it is down 8% from the peak we saw in the spring, basically putting us back to where we saw prices in December of 2021. Now, when I'm talking with real estate agents in Montreal, typically this is a month, September, that we see an uptick in activity, one of the busier months in the fall. That we didn't see this year. We saw it much slower than it typically is and slower than the month before. In fact, I think this is the biggest slowdown for sales in the single family segment that Montreal has seen in quite a while. The interesting segment, though, is condos, especially in the island of Montreal. That is where we're seeing a little bit more market activity and a little bit busier market. But overall, the market pace in Montreal is slower than normal. In Halifax, just under 350 homes were sold in the month. That's down 47% from last year. The 500 homes put up for sale, that's down 29% from last year. The 840 homes currently for sale, that's up 114% from what we saw last year. The average price, about $520,000. It is up 11% from last year, but it's also down about 7% from what we saw in the peaks in the spring this year. When I'm talking with agents in Halifax, they're really happy to see the added inventory in the market because now buyers have more choice. There's more stability, sanity in the market. Even still, something like close to 40% of all the homes sold last month in Halifax still sold in multiple offers over asking price. So it's still really busy in Halifax, just not the insanity that it was in the spring where there was like 2 weeks of inventory. Market pace is about normal for this time of year. It's kind of wishy-washy whether it's trending up or trending down. Market pace in Halifax is about normal though for this time of year. Right now, the cool thing to do is make a video all about how the Canadian real estate market is crashing or it's just about to crash. That's right around the corner. Trust me, I see all that type of stuff in my comment section and of course a lot of other videos about Canadian real estate on YouTube right now. That's pretty much what everybody's talking about. But when you look at the numbers, well, yeah, some markets, they're seeing a pretty significant correction. You could even call that a crash maybe, while others, they're not seeing that at all. They're seeing more normal patterns. So you can't just say, well, because this is happening, it's going to impact the market across the board the same. What's impacting Toronto right now is not impacting Calgary in the same way. And that's also true within a city itself. Whereas maybe the condo market isn't very strong in your city, but the single family market is really strong. Even different neighborhoods could be seeing different nuances. So that's why you want to look at what is going on in your market, in your area, and what you're looking at the time, because it's probably going to be different than what you're seeing on the national headlines. This often has people asking me, well, when is the right time to buy, Matt? And I tell them all the time, the right time to buy a house is when it's right for you and your own personal situation. Trying to wait and time the market usually doesn't work out for most people. You buy the best house you can at the time, you look for the best deal available at that time when it makes sense for you and your personal situation to buy. If you are one of those people that's going, yeah, I'm ready to buy now, maybe I'm a little apprehensive, but you want to get started on that process, you're looking for a great realtor, I can get you set up with one. I've got a link in my description here below where you can book me in for a buyer's consultation. I'm going to give you a call, ask you what's important to you in a house and what's important to your real estate agent, and I'm going to get you set up with the perfect agent for you. If you like keeping up to date on the Canadian real estate market, well, right here is my weekly news recap where I kind of go through what's been in the news that week and explain why it's important for you to know. And of course, as always, thanks very much for watching, guys.